I'd like to take a moment to talk to women. And if you are a woman that's listening, I'd like to speak to the most honest and regulated part of you. If we could take the defensive, fearful, avoidant pieces and just set them aside, give them a little puzzle or a crossword to futz with while we have a chat. What I'm about to say is going to be hard to hear, but I think we need to have this conversation and we need to have a moment of authentic and meaningful introspection. So many people are wondering what to do right now, and rightfully so. Our brains are pinging between mutual aid efforts and how to make sure people stay connected to abortion rights and how to cope realizing husbands, friends, brothers, community members let us down in such a fundamental way. But regardless of who you voted for and why, there's a conversation that I think needs to be had with women, among women, and with women themselves internally. We need to talk about the fact that so many women love men more than they love themselves. They love men more than they love their children, their daughters, their friends, their community members. And if that sounds like you, hold on. Don't run. Don't scroll. I'm not here to shame you. Something I say all the time is that in the same way folks didn't consent to their privilege, people didn't consent to their oppression. But that doesn't mean that we don't have a responsibility to interrogate and antagonize the ways that we've internalized patriarchy. And what that looks like and means on a very simple and basic level is looking inward and examining the ways in which we privilege and prioritize men and patriarchal value above our well-being and the well-being of other women. We need to get comfortable being uncomfortable with the ways that for some reason, for whatever reason, the attention of a mediocre, unimpressive man will be higher value to us than the attention of women or queer folk in our community or around us. Why the praise or the validation or the approval hits so different than the approval of femmes and women in our life. I say we because this is work that I have had to do in my journey of decentering men over the course of my life. So many people talk about decentering men as a matching of energy or almost as a get back scheme, a revenge plot. Or use the concept of decentering men as a way to gain access to men in general. If I withdraw my attention, if I match energy, that's some way for me to be able to get him to focus on me, pay attention to me, shine the light of his attention, admiration, or interest back my way. Or as a means to turn the table, to make that man or men in general feel as small, disregarded, and unimportant as they've made you feel. You have to understand that the center of that narrative is still a man. And the supporting actor, the person chasing the flapping coattails of the attention, the validation, the respect, is you. We need to look long and hard at the ways that we have sold out other women, our own dreams and ambitions, our health, our bodies, our safety, our dignity, and our integrity as a result of this social conditioning, and work to do the incredibly challenging and rewarding and enriching repair of reclaiming our narrative through deconstructing those belief systems. I'm a firm believer that the how and why of something is much more important than the what of something most of the time. So it concerns me to hear talk of 4B movement this and smegdual activity strike that without any meaningful internal work around the ways that our lives, thoughts, and even inner worlds center around and focus around a male gaze. That there's an invisible man that was installed in our head since birth that watches and judges our every move, that we also find ourselves constantly seeking approval from. There needs to be a time and a reckoning to sit with the grief and the loss of that, the loss of life, of friendship, of energy, of opportunities. There needs to be honesty in what we have done in service of this narrative, that being an appendage to a man or obtaining the approval of the man, whether it's a boyfriend, a partner, a father, a colleague, is somehow the penultimate achievement or indicator of our worth. And we need to rip that belief system out by the root and plant something else. Plant something that centers us as autonomous human beings with a fully complex and existing first-person narrative outside of what we can glean in terms of the dregs of approval or validation from a patriarch or a patriarchal system. We need to get brave enough to betray the trappings and the false privileges that this system offers. We need to betray desirability and attractiveness, betray values of competition and scarcity between us and other women, and grieve the loss of a sense of self, so that we can build a new one. If any of this at all resonates with you, I want you to know that you're not alone. You're not in any way strange, bad, or a failure. But what will make you a failure not only to yourself, but to other women and to the safety of your community is if you refuse to call what you already know into your awareness. If you refuse to take a good hard look at who you are and what you have become as a result of what you have internalized, and make commitments to reclaim yourself, reclaim your narrative, and show up better for yourself and others, then you have chosen self-betrayal. And I will tell you one thing from experience. It is never too late to return to yourself. It is never too late to arrive to yourself. But the longer you wait, the longer you stay in a perpetual cycle of self-betrayal, the more expensive and costly it is.